What's going on, everyone? So there is a consensus going around that the Los Angeles Lakers are going to fall out of the play-in, that they are not even a play-in team. There are 10, and in many cases, people have 11 teams ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, look, I don't think that they're, a top 4 team or anything like that. So, looking at this breakdown, right? 1 through 4, OKC, Denver, Dallas, Minnesota. Okay, I completely can get on board with that. That's fine. Then they have playoff teams 5 through 6, Phoenix and the Pelicans. Phoenix, okay, they were a playoff team last year. They have Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. Don't really think that they're a contender, but they should be good enough to be a playoff team, right? The Pelicans, however, I don't know. Now, DeJounte Murray definitely on paper makes the Pelicans better. But what do they do with Brandon Ingram? How does the Brandon Ingram situation play out? Because even if they don't trade Brandon Ingram, is that something that becomes disruptive and distracted, right? And then even if you trade Brandon Ingram, what are you getting for Brandon Ingram? Because if the Pelicans just swap DeJounte Murray with Brandon Ingram, I think it makes them slightly better because I think that they really need that playmaker, but I don't think it makes them exponentially better, right? I think that they're still borderline a play-in team. But, okay, fine. You want to say that they're 6? Okay. Now, when you get to the 7 and 10 range, you got Golden State, Sacramento, LA Clippers, and the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, a lot of people think that Memphis is going to come back and be great again, and that they're going to be a playoff to play-in team. I don't know, right? I mean, Zach Edey is a big boy that is coming in and is expected to make an impact right away. But outside of that, there hasn't been these significant upgrades. And Ja Morant is excellent. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of teams have gotten better in the last, 2 years. And a lot of teams are just different than Memphis was, a couple years ago where they were one of the top teams in the Western Conference. But, okay, could they be at least a play-in team? Sure, right? Ja is excellent. The Clippers, however, I have questions with. Sacramento, I have questions with. And Golden State, I have questions with. Now, Sacramento, I will say, though, if the DeMar acquisition works out, Sacramento could be a play-in to playoff team. I don't know how much better they are with, because the last thing Sacramento needed was another isolation scorer, right? Talked heavily about DeMar DeRozan to the Lakers, but that's because the Lakers didn't have anybody really like a DeMar DeRozan. So DeMar DeRozan made sense, where Sacramento, they have De'Aaron Fox and they have Malik Monk, right? So how does that work? How does that balance out? They needed more perimeter defense and 3-and-D shooters, right? Rather than another isolation scorer that isn't a great defender. It's just, I don't know, it's just a little odd that they went that way. And then they have Houston ahead of the Lakers, and then basically the Lakers are bottom 4 team, right? That they believe that the Lakers, San Antonio, Utah, and Portland. Now, I know some people out there, the trolls, are going to say, of course, but a couple things, right? One, when it comes to the Warriors and the Clippers, I would put the Lakers over both of these teams, right? The Warriors and the Clippers both got worse, arguably, right? The Clippers aren't better without Paul George. Clippers definitely got worse. Is James Harden and Kawhi Leonard enough to kind of carry that Clippers team? Possibly, right? James Harden in the regular season is really good and is excellent. Now, not having Paul George, maybe he picks it up offensively. But Kawhi just left Team USA because his knees are gone, right? I don't think that changes. And Kawhi's been the most injury-riddled guy in the league. But, okay, you don't want to add injuries into the mix because you can make the same argument. Lakers, the Anthony Davis and LeBron James were extremely healthy last year. Does that keep up? Does that maintain? But even then, again, they lost Paul George. Is James Harden and Kawhi Leonard better than LeBron James and Anthony Davis? I don't believe so. Right? I mean, again, LeBron James and Anthony Davis were arguably the 2 best players on Team USA filled with a star-studded roster, right? Now Steph Curry is amazing, but they lost Clay, and I know people are going to go, oh, Clay was terrible. He was 0 of 11 in that. But yeah, but he was really good for them throughout the course of the season. He averaged 18 on 40% from three-point range. He was still a very valuable piece for them at times. He had his struggles. He's not the same guy. There were moments where he came off the bench and all that stuff. But did the Warriors really get that much better? I don't know. I don't think so. I wouldn't put the Warriors over the Lakers, though. The Lakers, I just believe, are a better team, right? And again, if everybody is healthy, I just think the Lakers are better than the Warriors and the Clippers at this point. Now, so that would put them, and Houston, I don't even want to talk about, there's no way you're putting Houston over the Lakers, right? I know, like, people are going to say, well, Houston beat the Lakers. Yeah, they beat them without Anthony Davis, right? Like, big difference, right? And they just kind of, like, got a free lane to the basket every possession, right? So let's say, based on that, they're the 11th. I think at worst, they're 9th, right? But I do think that, one, you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I think you have another year of chemistry. I think if guys overall are healthier, because the Lakers were very injury riddled last season. I also think that the Lakers' schedule is better. It's not great, but there's not as many back-to-backs, not as many 3 games and 4 nights and stuff, right? I just think that, like, they just have these, like, incredibly tough stretches, but I do think the schedule is very balanced. You add in the schedule. People forget, like, the Lakers won 47 games last year with a terrible head coach, a bunch of injuries, inconsistencies. Like, you go down the list, and it's like, the Lakers also had the most back-to-backs in the league. Like, even with all the handicaps that the Lakers had last season, they still were a 47-win team. And if it wasn't for Darvin Ham getting crazy after the in-season tournament win, the Lakers probably would have been a top 4 seed, right? If they don't lose 10 out of those 13 games, if they just win half of them, right? So if they win 5 of those 10 that they lost, right? Then the Lakers would have been a top 4 seed in these, right? So again, the disrespect, right? If you want to put them in the play-in, right? If you want to say they're 7th or 8th, sure. All right, I won't really argue too much because, again, last 2 years, they were the 7th seed. They were a play-in team, right? And nothing's really changed. No real trades have happened. Okay. I believe that they are, at least a top 6 team in the West, but I get you are what your record was. Okay, fine. But again, you are what your record was. They were a 47-win team. People acting like they won 37 games. Anthony Davis and LeBron James have extra motivation, especially LeBron. He's got his son. They both are coming off of an Olympic gold medal win. Both guys were, again, arguably the 2 best players for Team USA start to finish. Obviously, again, the last 2 games, Steph was brilliant. You had Joel who had a game, stuff like that. But start to finish, these 2 guys were arguably the 2 best players. And also, after the Rui, which I don't really like for the playoffs, which I talked about, but after they made the Rui injection into the starting unit, the Lakers were excellent. They were, like, if you translate their wins from start to finish, they would have been like I think it was like a 57-win team, something like that, 57, 58-win team. So you're talking about a team that would have been a top 3 seed, top 2 seed at worst, had they done that from the beginning and they had more consistencies. Again, I worry about the playoffs because of lack of defense, but again, like, also our best lineup last season was still D'Lo, Reeves, Vando, LeBron, and AD. It was just such a small sample size. But we have a larger sample size because that was the unit that led us to the conference finals. So, again, you add in a better head coach, or even if you don't think J.J. Redick is better than Darvin Ham because he's unproven, and so we don't know yet, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. If you even want to say that, there's no denying that this overall coaching staff, I'm talking about the whole coaching staff, isn't better than Darvin Ham's overall coaching staff, right? Like, Scott Brooks and Nate McMillan are both arguably better than Darvin Ham was as head coach. And those are 2 assistants, right? So I just think you add in all of the pieces. I just don't know how you don't think that this team is at least a top 6. Again, if you want to say, they're a play-in team again at like 7th or 8th, fine. I don't think that. Like, obviously, things matter, health, and, there's a lot of factors that could go into it that could change that. But I look at this Lakers team, and I look at another year of chemistry. Can Austin Reeves be more consistent than he was last year, right? Like, there's a lot of talk that, hey, FIBA really kind of drained him, plus he played all 82 games. Okay, if that's the case, if Austin Reeves gets back to being a 40% three-point shooter, last year he would have averaged 20. I mean, you don't think that extra 4 points would have been the difference in winning a handful of more games, right? You don't think the Lakers would be better if he was more consistent and a better three-point shooter last season? Yeah, of course he would have, right? Like, if we got Reeves from the previous year, Lakers probably won 55 games. But because he was so inconsistent and had these, like, he'd have like 10-game stretches where he was just awful, right? And defensively just didn't have it. Although he was good in the Denver series against Jamal Murray. But it's just, I don't know how you look at the Lakers and think that they're that bad. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. So I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you somewhere in between? Are you different? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos. I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.